Good evening. How's it going? My name is Leslie Girl, and this is the video presentation for the project. Um, Here's some background for some context as to what's going on. Um, a psychiatrist goes to a nursing home after a patient got discharged, and when the psychiatrist get there, he was able to get access to the nursing home, but he wasn't able to get into the computer systems because he was not vetted yet. So he didn't get his login, he didn't get his password. Um, so he was able to complete his visit, but because he didn't get his login and password, he was not able to complete his assessment on the patient. So what he did, he left and he called his transcribing company and transcribe his documentation by phone. And then the next morning, on his home computer, he was able to access the transcribe assessment. After he accessed the transcribe assessment, he was able to put on his electronic signature. Now, that same day, his office manager was able to load the document and then forward it to the nursing home. Now, the first, we have to understand that there, at any given time, there can be a whole bunch of different things that happens. So we need to put in place a plan that will address potential risks to help avoid them. So the first thing, obviously, the doctor couldn't access the system because he didn't have his login and password. So that's the first risk. The second risk would be the vendor described the doctor's assessment. He wasn't properly vetted, meaning we don't know if those guys' security values are in line with the organization. So nothing on there says they were properly vetted. And then the doctor went and uses his home computer to access the patient data. So those are the immediate risks that are that pretty much jump out right off the bat. So how do we address those risks? How do we fix them? The first thing should be there should be a better system that provides healthcare practitioners login and password once they have been vetted. So if your healthcare practitioners are officially part of the organization or are contractors, then they should be issued login and password. They shouldn't have to wait a very long time before they get their login and password. The second one is all vendors that are being used within the company, especially the ones that have to deal with sensitive information, they should adhere to HIPAA guidelines and they should satisfy the vetting process of the organization. So, and the reason why this is very important because the vendor that was being used by the doctor to transcribe the assessment, we don't know what they said when it comes to security. For all we know, there can be many holes in their security systems. So that will in turn expose the data of the patient record. That would expose it, and then that can potentially turn into a breach. So they have to be properly vetted, and we have to know that they are following the HIPAA guidelines. And all healthcare practitioners should refrain from using their personal computers, um, except in some cases where those computers were issued by the organization, because the organization would never give them a computer that's not safe. And when people use their home computers, there's a chance that people can hack into the computers, and then the data, the information of the patient will be exposed. So the computers that are used to access patient records has to be computers that have been approved by the organization. The other risk could be the inability to access those encrypted files could mean that the patient doesn't get the care that he or she needs. You have to understand, let's say that there were a standing order that the doctor wanted to put in place for that patient. Understanding of it could be there, but then because the nurses couldn't access the plan, they wouldn't know what to do. So that could in turn turn into a whole other risk that potentially uh, the organization will probably would have to pay for. So because the encryption is very important. So let's say the vendor that does the transcription turns out to be okay and they meet the guidelines and the safety, then the organization can invest into an encryption system to allow for interoperability and for better connectivity between the systems so the system can communicate. As it stands right now, the system's not communicating, and it causes a problem because whenever those data has to be transferred and they're not transferring on time. So those are the risks that were highlighted in the scenario, and those were the plans that can be put in place to help address and mitigate those risks. Thank you.